Okay, 22 of Sivan, here we are. Yom Yom tells us that some instructions in davening for someone who's wearing a talus gadol. In Avos Oilam, at the words, Havienu l'sholem, he should bring us together in peace. So one brings together the two front tzitzis, then join to them the tzitzis of the left back corner, then the tzitzis of the right back corner. So the four corners of the earth are brought together, and holding them together between the little finger and the ring finger of the left hand. Kiss the tzitzis 6 times. There are 6 times throughout Krishna when you say it. This is connected to 6 midos. So, in very short, the talus gadol is a makif. The tzitzis are a panimi. So you have the union of the encompassing light and the imminent light. And then these tzitzis are brought together to sweeten all the 6 midos. And that's a little of contemplation in tzitzis. Lessons in Tanya, we're beginning on page 917, 22 Sivan. And in Lakuti Amorim, we're beginning on page 164, a little above the middle of the page. The word on the right-hand side is l'tachtonim, to the lower worlds. Okay, so we're continuing our discussion of the uniqueness and the paradoxical uniqueness of God, that he, on the one hand, is always only him and od milvado, and on the other hand, there is also everything else, the infinite radiations, the infinite effusions, the infinite worlds. V'hinei kamasha kosov, b'masha kosov, in relation to that which we've explained, the Alter Rebbe begins earlier, Yuvan, it will be understood, Mashikosa, what's written, Ani Havaya Lo Shanisi. This is written in Pasuk, I am Hashem Lo Shanisi. Pirish, what do you mean I've not changed? There's a whole lot of change going on. You are everything, and everything's changing all the time. I am Hashem, I haven't changed. Pirish Eim Shum Shini Klau, meaning in regard to him himself, there is zero change. Nothing has changed from his perspective. Kamai, he's the engine of change, but he never changes. Just as he was before the worlds were created, he's the same after the worlds are created. And this is what's written, this is what we say in davening. We say this every day. You are he who was and is before the worlds were created, and you are he atahu after the worlds are created, meaning the same ata, the same you. Without any change at all in his essence. This is an additional add, and this is news. Even his knowledge, his awareness, has not changed at all. This is the language of the Rambam coming up. He says, the Rambam says, ponder this. It's with a knowledge of himself that he knows all creatures. En od milvado. There's nothing besides him. En dover chutz mimenu. There's nothing outside of him. And paradoxically, of course, there is the experience of being many things other than he. All the infinite worlds, infinite meaning number ad infinitum. But from his perspective, which is called Das Elyon, his perspective, it's all there. There's nothing new under the sun. Because everything, why is this? How do you understand this? Because everything comes from him. And everything is nullified in its existence by him. Everything emerges from him, and all that emerges from him, if compared to him, is really nothing. And back to the Baal Shem Tov's famous words, if he were to stop this effusion of things, everything would revert to the state that it was. All that ever was, is, and will be is there, but will revert to the state of being included in himself, with no differentiation. As the Rambam writes, the Rambam writes famously, Shehuya Yadeya, V'hu Yadua, V'hu Hadeya. He's the knower, and he's the thing known, and he is the knowledge. Atzma. All that he is himself, and that is himself. There is nothing, his knowledge is not something added to him, as we're about to explain. Because his knowledge, his being, his ability to know, and the thing known are all hakol echad. They're all one in his perspective, in his mind, in himself, in his essence. And this is not something that the mouth can speak of, meaning this is not, we're saying these words, but do these words really coalesce into a way that we can understand? It's not something we can really say. It's not for the ear to really hear it. And the heart of a man cannot understand it, cannot recognize it clearly. Because the Holy One, blessed be He, what He is and His very essence, and His knowledge, is all one. From every side and every angle that you're going to look at it. In all ways of unity. There is no multiplicity. He is one. Hashem Echad. And whatever he knows is not something added to him. The way it is by a person. You don't know it, and then you know it. So it's something you have an intelligence, and grafted, as it were, that's the word murkav, grafted on your intelligence is the acquisition of new knowledge. But it's new to you. It's not part of you. It becomes grafted onto you and becomes understood. When a person learns something, so he brings to that encounter a understanding soul, before he learns and knows. You have an ability to know, but you don't know it yet. And it's only afterwards that this new concept, new idea, maybe what we're saying today, is something that you're putting now into your brain, which wasn't there before in your brain. It says that each and every day, a person has the opportunity to learn new things and to acquire, we use the expression, acquire wisdom. So this, that some piece of knowledge becomes grafted onto your brain, this is not something of singularity. It's the word he uses, murkeves. It's a grafting. It's now part of you, but it wasn't before. Aval HaKodesh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, Ein Actus Poshet B'li Shum HaKover, Hu Actus, excuse me, HaKodesh Baruch Hu, Hu Actus Poshet. He is a simple unity, Bli Shum HaKover, without any grafting, V'tzad Riboy Klal, and with no aspect of multiplicity at all. Imkein, if so you have to say that that what he is and his essence and his knowledge, everything is mamish one. Bli shum hakova, without any grafting, without any addition. Therefore, just as it's impossible for any created being to understand, to grasp what he is and his essence, similarly, it's impossible to understand what his knowledge is. And to get this, right, we say, I get it. I don't understand it because it's not in the realm of things that human beings encounter. Everything that we encounter is something I'm encountering it now, even if it's something outside of myself that's on my table. But when I look at it, okay, that's when it makes an impression on me. God's mind is always impressed with, if I'm using that expression, always the home for everything that was, will, and ever exist. So he says that is not in our conceptual framework. How do we get a feel for that? Because we do have a feel for that. It's in the same level of Amunah. That's why this whole chapter is called Shar HaYichud Ve'Amunah, the gateway to having some, I don't want to use the word grasp, because he says we can't grasp it, but some sense of the unity of God, different from every other unity. And this is, in fact, to do this, calls upon the faculty of Amunah. Shehi lamayla mehaseichel v'hamachshava, which Amunah is deeper than, higher is the word here, but deeper than seichel, any intellect, or any thought, or any understanding. Sha'akodesh Baruch Hu, Yochid Umeyuchad, the Holy One, blessed be He, is singular and one, or one and singular. Hu v'daite hakol echad mamash, as the Rambam says, He and His das are one. And the Rambam goes further. This is language of the Rambam. It's with a knowledge of himself. This is the words of the Rambam. It's with a knowledge of himself that he recognizes and knows everything which is found. In the upper worlds or in the lower worlds. Until the smallest little creature in the sea. Ve'ad yitush kotten, and down to a small flea or fly. Shehiyeh b'tabra oretz, in the stomach, really the belly button, the tabra inside the depths of the earth. Everything, from the world of Atzilus to a snail in the dirt, all of this is known with a knowledge of himself. This continues the words of Ram. There is nothing separate from him. And this knowledge doesn't add anything to him. No riboy v'harakover, no multiplicity and no grafting at all. Klal. Because how is that? Because it's all only a knowledge of himself. With a knowledge of himself, he knows everything which is found. And his essence and his knowledge are one. And his power of knowing is one. The Alter Rebbe tells us, since this is very difficult to formulate in one's mind, therefore the Navi, Yeshayahu, Isaiah says, Ki gavehu shamayim ha'oretz, ken gavehu darki midarkechem, just like the heavens, just like the heavens and the earth. So his heavens are much higher than the earth, so are his ways much higher than your ways. His ways are, and his thoughts are higher than your thoughts. Higher here meaning in a different realm entirely. Because see, it's written a pasuk in Eov, if you search after God, will you find him? Meaning, rhetorical question. No. Ukasiv, and it's written, it's written, do we have eyes to see? Do you, speaking about God, do you, God, have eyes to see like a person sees? A person knows, he sees, and knows things, all things with a knowledge which is outside of himself. Kodesh Baruch Hu, and the Holy One, blessed be He, He knows everything with a knowledge of himself. Ad kan l'shoinoi, until just now is the end of the quotations from the Rambam. Ayin Shom, see there in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah, in the Rambam's laws of the foundations of Torah. And you should know, Haskimu imoy hachme hakabbalah. the Kabbalists agreed with him, as is mentioned and written in the Sefer HaPardes from Reb Moshe Kadavero. That's today's Tanya. Okay, comments, questions?
I just want to reflect that today's Chumash and the sin and the punishment of the Meraglim also talked about worms and a belly button.
Okay, thank you.
And I had an insight into, the famous anecdote that Steinsaltz says in his book that when the Rebbe's younger brother saw the Hayom Yom, he kind of shook his head and he said, "Oh, wow, I knew my brother was good, but I didn't know he was that good." You know that little anecdote?
I've heard that, yeah.
So I just recently read that and I was scratching my head because when I learned the Hayom Yom, I don't understand sometimes the
Right.
connection. But I realized that maybe the reason a lot of us don't understand the connection is because we have to read the Chumash, Rashi, and the Tehillim, and then the Tanya, and then read the Hayom Yom.
And then you understand it?
Maybe, like maybe you
Maybe.
see the connection. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Because we always just skip it and we just read the thing. But maybe the connection lies in all of them combined together, and then whatever the
Okay.
Hayom Yom is saying.
Okay, well, that's a good thing. Let's all try that and see how that works.
Good
Well,
morning.
yeah,
Yeah, really.
because
Shreya.
in this well, it's yesterday's Chumash portion. It happens to be this year, so I'm just saying, like it's not so easy.
Okay. Batya, your hand's up.
Right, my hand's up. So, when we started this morning, I was thinking, and I think my question was answered. I was thinking, is there anything that Hashem can learn? Can it,
Yeah.
is that quality possible? Like he created us to, you know, to be his servants, to love him, to, allow us to have the ability to choose all of that. So at any point, like this is what I kept thinking, while we were thinking about, while you were reading, saying that, you know, it is Hashem in a position where he can learn, like that what we're doing, is always a question. Like, which way are we going to choose? Like, so anyway, but I guess as we went through, it seems
Yeah.
there's nothing that he can.
There's nothing that he doesn't know. And that produces the conundrum that everybody, many people want to deal with. If it's known, as everything is known, then how do we talk about free choice? But we'll leave that on the side for now. But it certainly is known to him, everything. Yeah, that's the answer. Raisa?
Yes. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. It's just a very important. It's like a compass. We start our day with this learning that we are declaring that it's all Hashem, especially in what everybody's in the middle of. One of the um, one of the things that I feel that Chabad is doing more than anyone else in the world, and everyone should be doing, is actively, with song, with dance, with happiness, thanking Hashem. There are great miracles.
Yeah.
And another thing that is very encouraging to me is my son, who lives in Israel, sent me a short clip of the prime minister saying, "God will help us." And, Elohim, those are his words, Elohim Ya'azor Lanu. And that's, okay, he's not a Rosh Yeshiva, but I think that this is a very big deal. Anybody who knows the
Yes.
history of Israel, and he went and prayed at the Kosel, he went and he put in a kvittel like this is a very big deal, because this is like they've always been very, very anti.
Of course.
So it's like it's a very big deal, and what my hope is that when someone who was not raised and nurtured as we like to believe in God at all, and he like kind of says, he goes to the coastal and he says Elohim Ya'azor Lanu. This is a very big merit for the success.
Yes.
Because this is tremendous miracles. Tremendous
Absolutely.
miracles.
And these are just the beginning of the miracles.
It's tremendous miracles, and it's for us to. There are places in Tanya where it says that when you recognize that it is Hashem, when you recognize that everything is Hashem, that brings more abundance into your life.
Absolutely.
So,
yes.
So this is part of our battle against the forces of evil, is learning Tanya.
Oh, this is our weapon.
Yeah. With this Sefer, we will greet Mashiach.
Absolutely. Yashikaya. Thank you very much. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm also so relieved that the Prime Minister believes in Hashem, and it makes me feel so much more secure and less scared.
Yes. Okay, guys. On to Mashiach. Achshav, now.
Yes.
Bye-bye.